Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician. Romanticism is a movement in the arts and literature that originated in the late 18th century, emphasizing inspiration, subjectivity, and the primacy of the individual. Romanticism, also defined in the dictionary, is the state or quality of being romantic. But something has begun to happen in these modern times in the Western world when many men feel that marriage is not a viable commodity for most modern men. In the past, when you go back to the 60s, you had groups like the Temptations. You had groups like Sam Cooke. You had groups like the Stylistics. You had groups like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. You had groups like Blue Magic and all the other romantic groups that were actually part of a time when love was actually in the air and the women actually responded to or acquiesced to the needs and demands of many men at that time. But now it appears that many men are frustrated with modern dating and relationships, as many men feel that modern women don't meet their demands or needs. And because modern women don't meet the demands or needs of modern men, many men are saying to themselves that marriage is no longer a viable commodity. And because marriage is no longer a viable commodity, many men have actually begun to shut down mentally. They begin to shut down socially, and they have begun to look within to find the love in the relationships that they're not getting in the current world that we live in. The question remains that in this modern world, in this modern contextual framework, is marriage a viable commodity for most modern men? Should men focus on themselves, and should men do what's best for themselves when it comes down to finding a woman of substance? Are modern women wife ready? Is romanticism and love dead? I want you guys to explore and begin to enjoy this show as we talk about the dynamics that have been impacted many modern men and women. And we're going to ask ourselves the question, if marriages are actually dead, what would be the outcomes for the future generations when it comes down to stability and community? If the marriages are also dead, what are modern women willing to do to acquiesce to the needs of men? Because in a relationship, it takes two in order to make that relationship become pliable, sustainable, and great. And therefore, the question remains once again, is love still in the air? Is the times of the past when we had groups like Blue Magic and the Stylistics gone before our time? I want you to explore and examine the evidence presented to you. And I want you to ask yourself the question once again, what is it in for American men to get married in this current world that we live in? Be well.